right, what's up guys? Thanks for watching Aeolus Defense. Today we're going to talk about the most popular combat zeros, focusing on an LPVO. So LPVOs seem to be the rage. In case you don't know, it means low power variable optic. Today on this one we have a Vortex Razor Gen 3 1-10. This is a mid MRAD version. You can use an MOA version. And so right now we're going to do the 25-yard zero, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to start at 25 and we're going to hold center mass all the way to 400 and find out where it hits and if this is an effective zero and if it's effective zero for you. Mike, tell them what we're using today.
So this is the, I think as we said, DDM MV7 16-inch barrel, basic bird cage. We put an Atlas on here just for stability here. Foregrip, this is right out of the box from Aeolus Defense. Obviously got a Geisley mount on there, and as we said, the 1-10 from Vortex. You know, all around just a solid rifle. We're gonna see how she shoots today. Like I said, chronograph data on the 109s, and then we'll see how she looks dispersion.
We just zeroed at 25 yards. First combat zero we're gonna do, 25 yards, shooting PPU SS109, which is 62 grain steel penetrator, 5.56. And what was the speeds, Mike?
So we went from 28.90 to 29.49 on that last shot. So a little bit of a spread, but for mil spec ammo, that's good.
So we're about 2,900 feet per second.
Yeah, 2,900 feet per second is average.
And so we've got some different groups on here, but basically it's grouping at probably a half an inch at 100 yards. I mean, at 25 yards.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah. That we're going to take that into consideration as we back up, because you know at one MOA at 100 yards is roughly an inch. At 200 yards it's 2 inches. At 300 yards it's 3 inches. At 400 yards it's 4 inches, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you have a 2 MOA gun at 400 yards, it's an 8-inch group, right? Yeah, so that's one of the things that we got to watch. Another thing that we got to watch, guys, is it depends on what time of year that you're doing this at when you're sighting in your rifles. Right now it's getting pretty hot. If you have your ammo, because powder fluctuates in temperature, if you have your ammo out where it's getting hot, it's baking in the sun, it's going to shoot faster. Or if you just shot your gun a bunch and then you waited for a minute with one inside there, as it's cooking, that round is going to get hotter, it's going to go faster. So these are things to take into consideration when you're zeroing.
And also to like the cleanliness of your first gun. That first little group we shot, the gun was new, oiled. That was a clean cold bore. You know, in a few minutes we'll have a cold bore, but will be a dirty bore. So that's going to change your velocities a little bit. But that's what I say. We shoot that 2,900 feet per second. If you're shooting a ballistics calculator or what have you, I think that's going to be a good average for this ammo. We can continue to see what it is and just, you know, throughout the course of the day, see how it changes potentially.
All right, let's go to 50 yards. 25 yard zero, 50 yards. Notice right here is our 50 yards. And we are 2.5 inches high.
There we go, right there. At
50 yards. So let's put right here, 50 yards. Which means if I was trying to make a CNS shot, I would need to aim at his mouth to give him a CNS shot. If I tried to aim for a CNS shot, I'd miss it, okay? 50, 25 yard, zero, 50 yard group.
Point impact, right there.
So we're still at the 25 yard zero. So Mike is still holding 25 yards right here, but we're at 100 yards. And this is where we hit at 100 yards right here when we held at 50. So 100 yards was how many inches high, Mike?
Oh geez, what are we at here? So we're at about 8.5, which is about right for a 25 yard zero.
All right, so we're 8.5 inches, which means if you were holding up here, you'd shoot over his head, right?
Way over his head.
Way over his head. But if 25 yards zero, you're still gonna hit him at 100. All right, now we're gonna jump it ahead. We're gonna go to 200. Guys, I know a lot of times you just wanna shoot this. I mean, you shoot it at 25 and take the YouTuber's words, or just take the, you know, whoever taught you's words that this is gonna work.
Calculator word.
The ballistic calculator's word. Whoever taught you this is word, that this is gonna be golden. So here's what happened, okay? We are 25 yards zero, we went to 200 yards and we weren't hitting anything. So what we had to do is we went and aimed down here and we hit up here. And so we figured that we were 16 inches, but we had to judge the wind because the wind's blowing about 7 miles an hour right now. And so we're 16 inches high. So at 200 yards with 62 grain PPU going 2,900 feet per second, we're aiming here. We're really missing his head because his head is so much smaller. So we had to figure out where we were hitting. And so we know that if we were going to hold a Combat Zero here, then we'd want to be aiming at his hips. All right, guys, so still 25 yard zero, still holding here, shooting at 300 yards, and shot here, shot here, shot up here. So roughly we're 7 inches high.
7 to 8 inches high.
7 to 8 inches high. Remember, this is a 16-inch LPVO, 62 grain PPU. Notice how big the group is getting right here, okay?
Yeah, so we're all the way out extreme of 8 inches.
8 inches, plus. And so the group is getting, we're starting to have to hold wind right here. So some of this group can be a little wind gusting, but it's a pretty steady wind. But so now we're having to hold wind at 300, which means, like, because this is where we're holding for the first shots, you'd have missed them on your first shot. So you got to consider the wind even at 300.
So I was holding right here, in line here, using that horizontal or that horizontal line and holding my dot right here under his armpit. We got right in here, moved back to here,
okay.
Understood where our wind was.
We're going back to 400 now. We were just at 400 yards, okay? The wind is now blowing a steady 6 and gusting at 8. And at 400 yards, still holding here. Note, 400 yards is probably, with this ammo, is where I'm gonna say that's it. That's all we can do. But 400 yards, our groups averaged from here to here, right?
Yeah, so that's 8, 10 inches.
You're gonna hit him somewhere on the torso with, how the group of the gun and how many MOA the gun is at 400 yards. So as a recap on a 25 yard zero, we held 25 the entire time. We've just went and shot, and this is holding about an inch and a quarter.
Inch and a quarter.
So let's just call it just a tad over a 1 MOA gun.
1 MOA gun.
With 62 grain.
PPU ammo.
PPU SS-109 green tip ammo. Mm-hmm. Okay, so 25, dead on. We never change our crosshairs. 50 is here, 100 was here, 200 was here. Yep. Super hard to hit. Super hard. Because look how small the target got. 200's up here. 300 is basically chest line, so we're still holding here, hitting up here at 300, and 400 is bringing us right in here. Now pay attention here. At 400, we are like right at a 1.25 MOA gun. So at 400, we're only able to hit this target like this. You're never gonna have a small little group like this. It's gonna basically be this, right? The size of a plate, okay? At 400. All right, so then we went and shot it at 7, and at 7 we were 2 inches low, and at 7 I had to aim here to hit here, okay? So I would know if I was doing anything, 25 and in, that I want to aim, dead on to just a little high. 50, just dead on to a little low, right?
And really a little low until you get out to that beyond 300, 400 yard range. And the other thing to think about, we talked about 1 MOA, right? So 1 MOA at 400 yards is only 4 inches, but we're clearly not shooting a 4-inch group here. Because the other thing to think about is the center dot that we're trying to hold, and also the wind values with a 62 grain ammo at 2,900 feet per second. The BC on that is about 0.3 G1. So it is gonna move around a lot more. Relatively lightweight gun. So don't expect to keep holding that 1 MOA just because you shot it at 100. Because we did have some, all right, do you have a flyer? Do you not? Did you, move around? Did you not get that wind call right? So, a good rule of thumb is to think if I shot it at 100 and I'm 1 MOA, double that as you start going out in field conditions or in any type of, stressful environment, even maybe more so, or we have the variabilities of these winds, which is like wind calling is so key.
Something else is that a lot of times when we see a target getting further, we want to aim higher on the target. Well, if we choose a 25 yard zero, Actually, the further it gets, the lower we want to hold on the target.
But not off the target. Like, you know, so this is, you know, just a standard size target. You don't need to be holding way down here in the bushes or something like that. You're kind of holding right there in that hip region, you know, towards the bottom of the target, you know, about 12 inches low, and you're going to keep it center mass.
Yeah, and so we're not doing any holdovers. We're holding the crosshairs here every shot, no matter what, for every distance. All right, so is 25 yard zero with a 16-inch LPVO, is that your zero? I don't know. It may be for what you need. I don't know. We're going to go through several of them, so we're going to go 25, 36, 50, and 100 for you. So like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, stay tuned, because we're going to do all of these, and then we're going to do them with a 10.5-inch barrel and a red dot, so we can see what the differences are, because this right here is the first step to becoming a rifleman. If you're going to be a professional rifleman,
you need to know what your rifle does.
You need to know what your rifle's going to hit, and you cannot just rely on somebody on YouTube, not even us, to say 25 yards is your zero, because I haven't seen one video on YouTube or anything that said this was going to be the, you know, really everybody says 25 is 300. Well, for us, 25 was 400.
And that comes down to what we were talking about with my 16-inch barrel. With the same ammo, I'm almost 100 feet per second faster. It changes this. Or if you get a different wad, maybe it's PPU versus a Wolf versus, you know, maybe I want to shoot 65 grain or 69 grain, you know, Sierra match case.
Also, elevation changes. Elevation and temperature changes. The higher your elevation, the higher the temperature, the faster it's going to go. We're at 3,200 feet 3,200 foot, and it's about 85 degrees. And it's sunny, it's hot. So our elevation, if you're at sea level, you're gonna be different than us. This is why you have to go do this. So first step to becoming a professional rifleman is to figure out the zero on your gun, all right? Where is it for you? I don't know. Is it 25? There's nothing wrong with 25 that I found so far. Oh. All right, so works. Guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Thanks for watching Aeolus Defense. Tune in next week for 36 yard zero.